Yes, you did!
I did not!
What is going on?
Mr. Frond stole my yogurt! Look, gasp, right?
I did not eat that yogurt!
It's a crime of passion fruit!
Hello friends and welcome back to my commentary corner. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back because I love having you in my corner. And we outside again. I feel like all of my creative juices have just been flowing lately and they work a lot better whenever I'm outside and in the fresh air. So, and I'm glad I've seen just the comments and that you guys enjoy seeing the outside. Me and you both. But anyways, I wanted to talk about Wagstaff. And more specifically, the faculty there and how unhinged they are. Should they be teaching students? Debatable, but we're gonna get into it. I feel like the school itself is just kind of wild, and therefore it only makes sense that the staff is just as bonkers. It honestly gives the energy that Community gives, if you've ever seen that show, and I will be talking about it, you guys, don't worry. For my Community fans out there, it's coming. It's just trying to have some finesse. But anyways, it just makes sense, you know, crazy with crazy. And since they're adults, you would think, oh, well, they're supposed to be more mature than the kids. Yeah, no, that's not automatically the case. Honestly, some of them are even more unhinged than the kids are, so.
I just followed him, and I've been watching him from your restaurant.
That's not alarming.
I mean, it's not like me to sleep outside someone's house or steal someone's dog or pee on someone's mail.
There's that. It kind of feels like Wagstaff in and of itself is like its own little sitcom. The teachers don't really behave like normal educators. But honestly, nowadays, like, what do real educators really act like? You know, I feel like we got a whole lot in the classroom nowadays. So maybe it's not that different. Whether it's the staff or teachers oversharing with students, their like personal problems, having beef with the students, encouraging chaos and drama instead of trying to calm it down. It just makes you wonder, like, should these people really be supervising children, you know? And I just wanted to talk about a couple of the more titular characters that they've given more screen time to, but of course there are others that, you know, I just don't necessarily want to dive into, but just know that I'm thinking of them and they're there and they're here with us in spirit, okay? One of the most important ones being Mr. Frond, Mr. Philip Frond. I think this man is a red flag through and through. I think that he's an awful guidance counselor. I don't think that he should be in the position that he's in, honestly. Reason being, a guidance counselor is meant to help children through their emotions, guide them in a healthy way, be a listening ear to them when they don't have it elsewhere, just be a healthy space for communication for them, to just be vulnerable, you know? A lot of kids be having all kinds of crazy stuff at home and they just need someone to open up to, and a school guidance counselor is supposed to be that space for them. Mr. Frond is rarely that. He is more oftentimes overly sensitive, very clearly insecure. He can be controlling, manipulative, and also like weirdly competitive with the students. Like, he's that kind of person who takes pride and pleasure in beating a kid at something. Yeah, I feel like he oftentimes becomes part of the problem instead of the solution, which is what you should be as a guidance counselor. So don't really get it. And I think just the nail in the coffin for me is that none of the Belchers like him. Not a single one. You know, I feel like not necessarily all of them are good at like reading someone's character, but even the people in the family who are arguably better at it don't. The fact that not a single one of them likes him and actively dislikes him actually is not a good sign. And it's not even trying to say that the Belchers are the best people, the most exemplary people. No, but like, I don't know, I just feel like that kind of speaks volumes. Some of the examples that I thought of that came to mind backing up my statement about Mr. Frond. The episode where Zeke steals the mascot, the Wagstaff whaler, Tina's the hall monitor and has to take him in and decides to listen to Zeke and let him go because Zeke had an extenuating circumstance and reasons why he stole the mascot and reasons why he, you know, committed the crime or whatever. And Mr. Frond was certain that she was wrong and that Zeke was lying and that once you're bad, you know, bad kid, bad egg, forever you are a bad kid. There's no way that he could possibly be telling the truth because he's always told a lie before, you know, in his eyes.
He's going to see his grandma before she has surgery.
His grandma? You naive little wide-eyed candy-dandy fool! This is Zeke we're talking about. Once he faked lice.
And Tina decided to look past some of those previous circumstances and believe him and give him a chance. And Mr. Frond was just straight up betting against Tina, saying,
I'll bet you he's lying. If I'm wrong, you're not in trouble.
If If you're wrong, Zeke's not suspended.
Sure! I'll even throw in some ice cream for Zeke's imaginary granny after her imaginary surgery.
Straight up mocking her. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, why are you mocking this little girl right now?
But I don't see Zeke anywhere. Maybe that's because liars are liars and people are bad. Ba, I am right.
Sorry for the geese, y'all. They're going crazy. I know I'm outside, but dadgum, calm down. So yeah, it didn't sit well with me in that instance. He has literally asked Tina to help him craft text to a woman that he took out on a date during like a counseling session with her because he's trying to impress this woman and basically ignoring Tina. He's like, when can this be over? Like I'm trying to get hoes or whatever. No, sorry. I'm trying to get this date.
I have to give her an oral report with Zeke. And I always get...
Yeah. I just got a text. Oh my God, it's from Cassie. She's a person I'm dating. What do I write back?
Maybe say you had a nice time too?
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, okay, Tina, back to you. Did the dolls work or what are we doing?
A little?
So that's weird and should not be happening in a counseling session or ever. You should never be helping to craft texts for an educator at your school. The whole pottery episode, I can't even remember, the full plot of that, but I know that it was not good.
When I was in 7th grade here at Wagstaff, I ran for class secretary. And because I was popularity challenged, I was expected to lose. I don't know what came over me, but I grabbed a bunch of votes for Dave and stuffed them in a vase.
I think you've been holding on to the secret when you don't have to. Kids might listen to you more if they knew that you made a big mistake when you were their age.
That does sound crazy. Nobody wants a relatable guidance counselor. Kids think I'm perfect. That's why they listen to me.
And then also a more recent episode, the personality test that he created with Henry Haber, that basically all being a hoax, or not, I don't know if I would say a hoax, but just like it was fake. It started out as a real thing, but then it became fake because, of course he didn't have the money to get proper developers to continue, this program.
Mr. Frond wanted a quick prototype to show Principal Spores.
Mr. Frond, why?
I was gonna finish the game, but then Spores wanted it right away, so I was like, okay, cool. And hey, Principal Spores is in talks with a superintendent to roll out the game across the whole school district.
And it was just all for himself. And time again, he just shows that he is not concerned with anyone's well-being but his own. And I'm not a fan of Mr. Frond, and I feel like he's kind of one that like sneaks in there on you, but I just don't think that he's well suited as a guidance counselor, honestly. Another teacher, well, I guess he's a teacher, an educator, a staff member is Mr. Ambrose, of course, who is the librarian slash cheer coach slash witch, a man who so clearly hates his job, has said that he hates books, so librarian, that doesn't really match up, and then also seems to just like hate children in general. Now that's not like a terribly rare thing to find, unfortunately, in educators and in schools. There are a lot of people that straight up do not like kids, but then they have to be around them all day long and form them, so that's awful. It seems like the only thing that gets him through the day is just drama, and so whenever he can't find it, he injects it into the kids' social lives so that he can just see stuff go down. And of course that is especially on display in the episode wherever he's the cheer coach and Gene joins the squad and he's like putting drama into the relationship between Gene and the old Yell King and all that because he's just bored. Like he just hates, I think, working at this school.
We're all here because we wanted this more than anything. Except me, I wanted to advise drama. Gene, you're the new kid, the raw rookie. Your arch rival is Todd.
He is?
Yeah, the bitter, boozy old Yell King. And Todd, you hate Gene. He threatens everything you are.
Already there.
So he's trying to find entertainment wherever he can. That's what that is. And then the last person that I wanted to talk about, I actually have talked about Mr. Ambrose and Miss LaBonz before in a video, but touching on Miss LaBonz again, she is interesting because I feel like she's that teacher who is so clearly burnt out. And it's sad because I think at one point she was probably a wonderful teacher, a teacher who probably really cared, had a lot of passion for her students and wanted to make a difference. And unfortunately, it feels like she's almost a product of just a failed education system, She comes across as just very blunt and tired and all of that.
Attention Wagstaff student body. The fall musical is coming up and we're not doing Grease again. I can't. I'm not doing it.
And I think on the surface, it looks like she hates kids, but I don't actually think that she hates kids. Not like like Mr. Ambrose. I think he genuinely does not like children. I think that Miss LaBonz can get real tired of kids and is tired of kids.
I want to slap that kid.
But I think that she sees their potential and wants the best for them, but just doesn't have the energy to be, I guess, a healthy presence. Or I don't even know if healthy is a good word, but just like upbeat, energizing educator. She don't got it in her. She tired. But so I feel like she secretly cares, and I actually love that. And I love that you get to see a few moments like that, you know, especially between her and Louise hyping her up and being like, actually.
My real review is that sure, Miss LaBonz is grizzled and grumpy and coughs on you while you're taking tests. But underneath that rough exterior, there's a soft, chewy center that does a pretty good job teaching and brings out the best in her students.
I just really enjoy seeing that, and I feel like, you know, I've seen just in comments talking about Miss LaBonz and how like people had teachers like her and how they really appreciated it, and so it's just nice to see that, I guess. But I don't know, even just like the minor staff members just being kind of weird, you know, like Mr. Bronca and him being like the former president of some unnamed country.
In my country, before the coup, I was president.
There's some crazy lore with Mr. Bronca that I wish we had more information about. The AV teacher, can't remember his name at the moment, but I think honestly being a little similar to Mr. Ambrose in that he like is trying to inject drama into the kids' lives, but his purposes is so that they can make for better like TV school news segments.
Now who knows the 5 W's of school news? They're wow, woohoo, way hot, weird, and what the Every story we do should have all 5.
I feel like his backstory, I can imagine it being like he wanted to, you know, go into like actual TV and entertainment and didn't make it. And so he's just now stuck being the AV teacher at a middle school. That's the vibe that gives. But it's just interesting because it feels like the adults behave like the kids, but just as grown-ups. Just with being petty, dramatic, insecure, attention-seeking. It's just funny how I feel like it really reflects real life. Because, you know, I always assumed when I was a kid that adults were just more mature, naturally, like they should be, right? No. As an adult, you are essentially just a culmination of unresolved issues from your childhood that you didn't realize shaped you a lot more than you thought. They call them formative years for a reason when you're young. So much of just what happens to you and how you're treated and how you treat others shapes you as an adult, and so you just become a grown version of that, which is why you'll see so many people who are extremely childish and extremely immature just as an adult, and I wonder how they have made it this far in life. How have you gotten to this point? And you are so poor at communication and, I mean, acting an absolute fool sometimes. I don't get it, but just you realize that as you grow older. Just because you are an adult does not mean that you are wise, does not mean that you are mature. I don't know. I find the Wagstaff faculty to be kind of fascinating and just wanted to talk about that today. I feel like the only normal people, they only have like a couple educators there who are pretty normal. I think the English teacher is one of them. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but as for the rest of them, they all got something crazy, but it makes them entertaining, you know, so that's fun. But anyways, if you guys liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button for me. If you have anything else that you would like to hear me talk about with Bob's Burgers, King of the Hill, let me know. Also hit that subscribe button so that you can see the alerts from my videos and so that you can see this face a whole lot more. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye!